Hello, welcome back to Fighting Game Basics. Today we're going to take a look at part 2 of our frame data guide. We're going to talk about frame data on hit. So just to start with, a refresher from the video about linking normals. If you do a normal and it leaves you at positive advantage on block, if you do a second normal that has startup equal to or less than the advantage you're at, it will probably combo. So crouching medium punch leaves us at 5 frames advantage. Standing light kick has 5 frames startup. So barring some weird spacing issues or something, those probably combo because the startup is equal to or less than the advantage I was at. But let's look at what we can do to get a little bit tricky outside of combos. So where I said this leaves us at 5 frames of advantage. So what does advantage actually mean? So if you look at our bar down here, when we hit JP, we add these yellow rectangles to this bar. These yellow rectangles are hit stun. Basically, when I hit JP, I put him into this animation, and he's committed to that animation for a certain amount of frames. In this case, 22 frames. So if we look at the first frame after I come out of recovery, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, a 5 frame difference between when I recover and when JP comes out of hit stun. That means I recover 5 frames before JP does, so I can also act 5 frames before JP can. So if we want to visualize this a little bit, I'm going to set JP to do a vertical jump. And then I'm also going to jump at the same time. And you'll notice Cammy jumps first. That's the 5 frames advantage. I get to act before JP does. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set JP to perform a crouching light punch when he gets hit. And JP's crouching light punch has 4 frames of startup, as you can see in the bottom left. So we're going to do crouching medium punch into standing heavy punch. Standing heavy punch has 8 frames of startup. So in a neutral frame situation, because JP's crouching light punch has 4 frames, it will come out before my standing heavy punch at 8 frames, and it would normally beat my attack. However, we can use our frame advantage to mix things around a little bit. So we're going to go here, and I get the counter hit. Now if we look at the bar, we can visualize exactly what's happening here. So I come out of recovery, I go into my second normal on the first available frame, I have 7 frames of startup, and it becomes active on that 8th frame. But if we compare that to JP's bar, he came out of hit stun, he had 1, 2 frames of startup, and then my attack hit him. He was not able to make it through the full 4 frame startup of his normal before my normal made contact with him, so I get to counter hit him out of his normal. And the way we can calculate this, if we just want to mathematically figure out how the interaction would play out, let me turn this off real quick. Alright, take the startup of the second normal you want to do, subtract the advantage that you're at, so 8 frame startup minus 5 frame advantage is 3. If that number is less than the opponent's startup, your normal is going to come out first. So we said JP's crouching light had 4 frames startup, my calculation came out to 3 frames, so my situation, I'm going to hit JP first. So that's the basics of figuring out a lot of setups in fighting games. You just figure out how much advantage do you have, what is the startup of the normals that you want to go into, and then compare that to the startup of the options that your opponent has, and it'll tell you if it's a uninterruptible setup or if your opponent will have options to get around it. Alright, tune back in next time. We're going to take a look at frame advantage on block.